Is there something different about playing video games today? It just doesn't feel the same way it used to. Remember back in the day, and for the context of this video, back in the day means the 1990s or up to the mid 2000s. But remember back in the day when on Christmas morning or your birthday possibly, if you were lucky, there would be one or two video games sitting there wrapped up for you. And these were the video games that we would get and we would play all year, or at least until the next Christmas or birthday that we have. And after a while, you'd amass large collections of games, collections up to 10 or 15 games. That was a lot back in the day. And then we would share these games with our friends, and in return, they would share their games back with us. And then eventually you and your friends would run out of games, and you'd have to visit your local video store. And for me, it was Blockbuster. For others, it could be a local video rental store. You and your friends would save up money and you'd throw $1 here, $1 there into the pot. And then you guys would decide to either walk or bike to your favorite video rental store. Doesn't matter, rain, snow, or shine, you guys are on your adventure to the video store. And along the way, you guys would strategize and plan what exactly you're going to do, what exactly you want to get. And hopefully by the time you get there, what you want is going to be on the shelf waiting for you to rent. These were the good old days, and gaming in the 90s was very social despite not being online yet. Some would say it's because we lived in a specific type of culture back then, a culture often described by the music industry as the reason why we were more favorable towards old musicians and old music as opposed to newer musicians and newer music, and that is because we lived in a monoculture. Monoculture, at least in reference to pop culture, is defined by Webster's as a culture dominated by a single element, prevailing culture marked by homogeneity. I'm sure I said that wrong. Essentially what that means is we watched, heard, and played the same things as everyone else, creating a sense of community with our media. But then in the late 2000s, we were introduced to these little nifty devices right here. You see it? It's a cell phone. Mine happens to be the Samsung Flip 3. And with the rise of smartphones came the rise of social media. Social media such as this platform right here, YouTube, and X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, Netflix, Hulu, Spotify, Twitch, etc. The list can go on. And now we're consuming content more frequently and in very different ways than we used to. Gone are the days of large corporations dictating what we see and when we see it, or what we hear and when we hear it. So if we no longer live in a monoculture, what culture do we live in today? A culture dictated by algorithms. In 2019, Vox actually coined the term monoculture of the algorithm. And quickly, let me demonstrate the effects of a monoculture. These are all images of products or artists that came to popularity in a monoculture. I'm willing to bet you got most of those, if not all, right away. And these are artists or products that came to popularity in a mono-algorithm culture. There's a pretty stark difference, at least to me anyways. We currently live in an environment where our media is spoon-fed and personalized for us. The individual, the community no longer matters. Movies, games, music, we may still love our media today, but it's likely if we try to start a conversation about media with our friends, family, neighbors, they'll have no idea what we're talking about. And that is kind of a lonely feeling. We traded community for personal convenience. But what does that have to do with the video game industry today? It turns out it has a lot to do with the video game industry today. Today's largest AAA gaming companies, they came up during a monoculture. So just like musicians and music from the past, we just can't forget about them. AAA gaming companies have etched their names into the back of our minds. As much as we don't like to admit it, subconsciously we tend to associate their experience and their large development budgets with quality. And unlike music and musicians from the past, this is completely false. These AAA gaming companies are not made up of artists and gaming enthusiasts. These companies are made up of marketing and business professionals. They are not your friends. These companies are large, publicly traded companies. So what does that mean? This means that these giant companies have an obligation called fiduciary responsibility, which means these companies are obligated to act in the best interest of their board of directors, who represent their shareholders. You are not their customer. Their customers are their shareholders. You are their product. They don't care at all about making a great game because they know you will buy it. And after all, you are conditioned to, and they know it. And they spend millions of dollars on a marketing team just to make sure that you do buy their product. And once you buy their games, take it home, and well, I guess you're not taking those games home anymore. You're probably buying them digitally, but you download, install, and then open the games up, and then it's loot boxes, pay to win mechanics, garbage add-on DLCs, anything that sucks money out of your pocket and into theirs. So this is generally where I feel the gaming industry is at today. Video games have gone from great memories of wasting time with my friends to personalized online casinos and overpriced marketplaces. So why do I describe video games as my favorite hobby still today? It might have something to do with the fact that some of the greatest games that I've ever played have released in the past few years. Thank goodness the AAA gaming industry is only part of the gaming industry as a whole. Indie games have existed for decades, but it's over the past few years they've really come for the crown, especially in early 2024. As we see AAA games release and flop continuously, seems like all of them are getting panned critically recently. We have seen indie games such as Pocket Pair's Pal World and Arrowhead Games' Helldivers release to record success. And in 2023, Larian Studios released Baldur's Gate 3. Some would say this is the greatest game ever made. I don't know about absolutes like that, but it is definitely one of the greatest games ever made. These indie studios are typically not large publicly traded companies. They're often small teams or an individual with a passion for artistic flair and creating fun and engaging games. These companies don't have a board of directors to answer to. Their customers are you. Their product is their passion for creating great games. Indie developers may not have the big budget of these AAA companies, but they make up for it for the love for what they do and the respect of their customer base. Over the past year or so, the only games I've played and truly enjoyed were indie games. Games such as Dredge, Soulstone Survivors, Death Must Die, Hades, Gas Station Simulator, Dave the Diver, House Flipper 1 and 2, Vampire Survivors, Deep Rock Galactic Survivors, Planet Crafter, Supermarket Simulator, and Coral Island. Actually, one of the coolest displays of appreciation I've seen in one of these games happened in the game Coral Island. Stairway Games chose to go the crowdfunding direction when developing Coral Island, and it happened to be a major success. In the game, there's a museum in the center of the town, and eventually, after going through a year or so in that game, other wings start to open up within that museum. And then one of the wings is called Founders Hall. And inside Founders Hall are a bunch of statues dedicated to the people who helped fund Coral Island. And they aren't just copy and paste statues. Every statue is different. Every statue represents an actual individual. I thought that was really cool when I saw that. And I thought to myself, what a creative way to thank their community. So in conclusion, do I think games suck today? No, I don't. I think the gaming industry is going through a transition period though. I think more and more people are waking up to these predatory tactics of these AAA companies. And I would also like to say, it's not all doom and gloom in the AAA gaming industry. A few years ago, Bandai Namco released Elden Ring, and I believe Elden Ring is still sitting at an overwhelmingly positive rating on Steam. And personally, I still have hope for Rockstar and Grand Theft Auto 6. I mean, with a $2 billion budget, that game better be good. Better be good. It has got to be good. But I don't know. Only time will tell. And I'm Delta from DeltasCorner, and I would like to thank you for watching. And please leave a like and subscribe. And if you feel like commenting, I welcome all comments. And as always, have a great week, and I'll see you next time.